Hello, my name is Samar. I also go by Sam or First Time Panner. Any of those you want to call me, you can. This will be a get ready with me, and I'll be using mostly project pan items. I don't have a project or an item in a project for every single step in my makeup routine, and then also, you'll just see like some things I do have, but I only have one thing and it wouldn't really go with what I'm trying to wear today, which if you can tell, because my eyes are still a little fuzzy right now, I just have such bad allergies in the morning and I've been like stuffy all week. You can probably hear it in my voice, but I'm wearing an orange shirt, so I'm going to do my like go-to orange look that I do multiple times a week. And first I'm gonna start with lip balm. This also is in a project. This is the Tony Moly mini. I think this is the only size it comes in, but mini blueberry lip balm. This is in my Old New Gifted Blue project, and because this does actually have a pink, not even really tint, it's just kind of a pink lip mask type product. I don't like to wear it to bed because I don't want it to get on my bedding, so I just wear it in the morning, and then I wipe my hands on my little cloth that I use every time I do my makeup. And I'm gonna start with my eyeshadow. So first I'm gonna use my Sassy Siennas. Actually no, first I'm gonna use my Milani eyeshadow primer, and if you see me looking down, that's because that's where my mirror is, but can't skip this step. I work a very long day. Also, if you can catch the cat fur that's all over my shirt and neck, Roxy was on my chair again, and I wasn't going to recreate the situation that happened on, I think it was Monday, so where she was sitting on my lap, so I had to pick her up and hold her for a bit or else she was gonna start whining. But yeah, her fur is already all over me at 6:45 in the morning, and that's how I like it. So because this is my Project Level Up Light and I'm trying to get 10 uses on these two shades, that's just what I'm gonna use. So I'm gonna start with that first shade. Wait, this is not a tutorial. I don't need to explain everything in depth to you, but I'm just gonna put those two shades all over my lid, starting with the lighter one. But yeah, as soon as I took Roxy off my chair, also if you can see me sweating, it's hot in here, but my AC is in my room and it's so loud. So I'm not gonna turn it on, but yeah, as soon as I took her off the chair, I went to wash my hands really quickly before I started filming, and when I came back, she was already back on my chair. She just loves sitting there. When she's not sitting on my bed, she's sitting in my chair. But what's going on with you guys? As I kind of like mentioned in the intro, work has been crazy, especially because we've clearly had, you know, an autumn seasonal cold going around the office, and of course people go to work when they're sick, and then they like will be working across, she's never gonna watch this video, so I don't care, I'm gonna call her out. They will sit across from you, like at your desk, and sneeze and not cover their sneeze, so that their sneeze goes all over your hands and keyboard and everything. And then she'll be like, yeah, I'm getting a cold. Thank you. Also, the guy who sits directly next to me also came to work with a cold, so like I just had no chance. But mine isn't really like a cold, because as soon as I woke up feeling my throat a bit scratchy, now I'm just gonna use that other shade with a smaller brush. As soon as I felt my throat getting a bit, not like scratchy, but kind of that like beginnings of maybe a dry sore throat, I immediately went into action. I started buying immunity shots. I started drinking tea and water only, wearing my sweaters around the house because I like a breeze. I do really like a breeze, but no, I was keeping it warm in the house so that I wouldn't catch a chill, because sometimes I do fall asleep with AC on, and if I did that this past week, it would have been over. And I started getting extra sleep, and by extra I mean 7 hours of sleep. So that all went away, except for I do still have like this kind of like not runny nose, but just like congested nose. That's really the only symptom that I still seem to have, but I never got sick. Like I never got fatigued. I never had to, you know, stay home from work. And you know, I don't really feel bad about it because the people I sit next to are the ones who got me sick anyway. So even if I was contagious, they're not gonna get it. Just had to add my little tallies into my notebook for my project. But I was like looking for my glitter primer and then I realized I took it out already so that I wouldn't have to look for it. And I forgot that in the past 5 minutes. So NYX glitter primer. This is also not in a project, just like the Milani eyeshadow primer, but I'm definitely not going to skip these steps. And I know I said I was gonna try to use my Focus Pan That palette with my like orange looks, but I just can't quit pairing that Sassy Sienna's palette with the shade Summer. It's just, or I was pointing at the wrong shade, the shade Summer, because I just love how those shades specifically go together. So I'm gonna do what I want. But this palette, technically, this is the Norvina palette from ABH, as if you didn't know. This is technically still in my Pan That palette, so this is in a project. And I don't care how many times I do this look, which has been like, oh my gosh, I went to wipe the sweat off of my upper lip and I had that gold shimmer on my finger somehow. Anyway, I've done this look at least a dozen times and I'll never get sick of it. It's so pretty. But yeah, work has been crazy. Work has been crazy. That's all I'm gonna say. Let's leave it at that. I'm gonna warm up my tea and be right back. Do you know when Wendy Williams is like, the tea is exceptionally good today? That's how I feel. This is I think Twinnings brand, I don't even know, but it's a chai spice tea, and then I put my caramel macchiato creamer in it, which somehow tastes slightly like pumpkin spice even without the tea in it. It's so good. Real quick, back to things I'm not panning, because I'm not panning any eyeliners, so you know what, it is what it is. I'm first gonna use this, they're both from Urban Decay. First this one in Lucky, which is a metallic orange, and then and this on my bottom waterline, and then I'm gonna tight line with Demolition, which is a dark brown. Now onto the face, and I'm gonna wipe this non-existent fallout off of my under eyes. And first I'm gonna use a product that's technically not in a project yet, but I think by the time you see this it will be. This is the Supergoop Mini Unseen Sunscreen. This will be in my The Office project pan, and this is just what I've been using lately for my like first primer, which is always sorry, I shouldn't be talking while I'm doing this. My first primer is always a pore filling primer, and I can't even remember when I did this, but maybe like weeks ago I went through all of my primers because I've been planning what I'm going to pan for all of next year, and I've already planned out all of my projects 100%. But I was going through all of my primers and I realized every single one of my sunscreens is expiring within the same 3-month window next year. So even though none of them are near expiring, if I wait until they're about to expire, I will not finish nearly half of them by the time they do. So yeah, I'm trying to get a head start on that. And this is the NYX Marshmallow Primer that's in my 25 and 2025. It was sputtering and now it's not anymore, so I don't know, maybe it like refilled itself. And I put 2 pumps of this on my face because it helps sheer out my foundation, and despite me, you'll see it, and it's the one in my 25 and 2025. I've talked about this, but despite me adding a bunch of foundation that's too light for me, it's still slightly too deep. I don't know how I lost my tan so quickly. Usually it takes me until the next year to lose my tan, but my foundation is still slightly too dark and it does oxidize. I don't know if it always did that and I just didn't notice because I was so tan, or if me adding stuff and like constantly opening the bottle did that. But this is my Dose of Colors Meet Your Hue foundation in the shade 122. This is definitely called something different now, and also I don't know if they reformulated the foundation. Oh, and I just put it in my hands and put it on like this. This is how I do my foundation every morning. But I don't know if they like reformulated, because it's now called something different, and they did not bring back all of the shades. They still have 122, but I realized I like the shade 120 a lot better, because that one is my winter shade. And then if I want to make it work for me in the summer, I can just like add a summer shade powder on top and use bronzer. But the 122 shade is almost always too dark for me. And this is my giant ass sponge from Sephora collection that's not made anymore. So yeah, I don't really know what's going on with that, but I mean, especially if they don't bring back the shade 120, which I don't think they will, because it's not even like on their website and out of stock. It's just not there. I don't think I'll be repurchasing this foundation, which, you know, is a bit of a bummer, because I do like Joseph Colors. I buy from them anyway, and then the undertone of their foundation matches me very well. It's like a warm yellow instead of being peachy or orangey. This also is not in a project, but I don't have a concealer in a project because I just finished mine like a month ago. But this is the NYX Professional Makeup Pro Fix Stick Correcting Concealer in the shade 0.4 Dark Peach, or maybe it's just 4 Dark Peach, I don't really know. And I got a lot of dark circles. Actually, today my dark circles don't look bad at all. Maybe because, well, no, I did not get a lot of sleep. I got like 6 hours. But I've been letting myself kind of rest, because the beginning part of this week, actually also yesterday, was very stressful. But what's new? I've been stressed, so I've been trying to let myself kind of chill when I can. Like, my sink is full of dishes because I'm like, take a break. That does need to get sorted out tomorrow, because I usually use my dishwasher for most things, but I had to hand wash this, and I feel like I am not paying all this money for rent for a luxury apartment to be washing my dishes by hand. Anyway, I feel like I'm so off topic. I don't even have a topic, and I'm so off topic. But this is the Artist Couture, oh, I should show it to you because I repressed it. But this is the Artist Couture powder in the shade Honey Suede. It's discontinued, but this is in my 25 and 2025 project. I repressed it, but there's a little crumbly bit that's like definitely gonna fall if I tilt it all the way. But I repressed it as much into the center as possible. I don't think I'll finish this by the next update for that project, but probably the one after that. I'm hoping to end the project early. Oh, I also repressed this with like a bunch of the e.l.f. Halo Glow loose powder. That's kind of just like my go-to for repressing powders, because I do like the slight bit of glow that it adds. I don't like the powder on its own, the Halo Glow one, because it's just too glowy, but when I mix it with stuff, it makes it look a little bit less matte and dry, and then just kind of like shears it out a little bit, because I use all powders to set my liquid foundation, because I've just been panning liquid foundation all year. And sometimes I'm using a powder foundation to set my liquid foundation, and it's just too much. And I don't know why I've been using my phone as a mirror. I just like it to be a little bit more sheer, and I think that looks pretty good. It probably will oxidize throughout the day, and by probably I mean definitely, but right now it looks good. And then for my cheek products, I'm going to use my Franken palette that is also in my Pan Those palettes kind of series, which combines my Pan That Face palette and my Pan Those palettes for eyeshadows. I'm gonna start with this bronzer shade here, and I'm just gonna tap in once, and I do get a decent amount of product on here. I really like the way that I pressed that when I Frankened everything. I don't even remember what's in all these Frankens, but I just do like one tap for each side of my big forehead, and then I scrub it into my hairline. I'm gonna have to redo my hair before I leave for work. And I did blend it in, but the light's just gonna create a shadow, so you're gonna have to trust me. And now I'm gonna go into this contour shade with the same brush, tap in twice because this is pretty firmly pressed, and then just do each cheek. Maybe I'll tap into the bronzer once, or the contour once, and tap up my brush, and then just like add definition where there literally is none to be found. Now blush. I want to keep the blush kind of like muted and earthy as possible because of my eyes and my shirt. So I'm gonna use this blush, which is actually not a Franken, it's just the repressed blush from Essence in that shade that everyone has. I think it's called 10 Befitting. And I can like really load up this blush because not only is it very light for my skin tone, it's not super pigmented, but I really like that because I can be in a rush and accidentally put too much on, but it's still not too much. And then I'll just use this yellow highlighter that's in this palette because why not? But this is also just a repressed highlight. It's not a Franken, but this is one half of this really old e.l.f. highlighter that was like two sides, a yellow side and an orange side. I repressed both shades into their own, I guess I'm gonna add more. I repressed both shades into their own eyeshadow pans, but I kept the yellow one also as like an actual face highlight. I don't know if I'm gonna keep it though, because even though I like it, I don't use it too often because I just prefer my Essence Sunlighter. But that's pretty much how I use my face palette every time I use it. I honestly have never used that blotting powder since I put it in there, but that's how I use that palette every time I use it, except I kind of just change the blush I use depending on the other makeup I'm wearing. Never mind, I forgot to do my inner corner highlight, and I like to use if I'm doing like a warm tone look, I like to use that highlight. So I'm gonna put it, I always just use like not a fluffy dense, like a bigger dense blending brush for this. So this one works perfectly. I just put it in my inner corner like this, and then I take a tiny bit and I just use it to sort of like diffuse the edge of my metallic shadow. So just tapping in lightly once and then bring it up to the edge of my metallic shade on my lid. Okay, now this is also something that's not in a project, but this is the only setting spray I currently have. I also have this in a mini size. This is the e.l.f. Makeup Mist and Set. I'd say it usually takes me about 5 spritzes to set my face, but most days, because I've been blowing my nose so much, I like re-powder my nose and then I reset my face. Now I'm gonna do my brows and mascara, and none of these products are in projects, so because I just do the same thing every day. But what I do is for my brows, I use my Maybelline Brow Fast Sculpt in the shade Deep Brown, I think. Yeah, deep brown. Then I use a clear brow gel. This one happens to be the Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter, just a mini that I got in something. And then I let that dry down and I fill in any gaps that I still have with the brow pen side of the brow blade from Urban Decay. I'm really gonna have to get just an actual brow pen and try to find a way to use up the brow pencil. And for my mascara, I want to use a brown mascara today to kind of like go with my more earthy toned eyeshadow. So this is the Tower 28 Make Waves mascara in the shade Drift, and then I'll come back. Alright, so brows and mascara are done. I also re-powdered my nose and added some more setting spray. But the final thing to do is lips, so I'm just going to find a clean spot on this rag and then wipe off that. I'm so bad at this. I always talk when I'm like scrubbing my lips or something. Wipe off that Tony Moly lip balm, and I literally only have like 2 things left in my project pan. Neither of them go with the makeup that I'm wearing, so I'm gonna show you what I've actually been wearing with this look, which is the NYX Butter Gloss Bling in the shade, what is this? Shimmer Down. I've just been looking at myself this whole time. I have not been looking at you, sorry. But this is just a shimmery, slightly earthy tone leaning orange, but it kind of just like looks orange on the lips. So I'm gonna put it on. I don't really know how else to say that, but that's my makeup. This is kind of, I either do this or one other look depending on if I'm wearing orange or like a cool tone look. This is like what I do 50% of the time, maybe like a third of the time. I do pretty much this exact look. Only I'll use like maybe other cream products. Like right now I'm using a Franken bronzer contour product that I made with all of my very dark foundation samples. And then I'm like unofficially panning my NYX Sweet Cheeks because I've had this for years and I've never used it. So the only difference really is I usually use cream products instead of that face palette, but I'm glad I got another use on that face palette because it's been mostly neglected this whole year. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'll probably do another get ready with me, but with like new makeup that I have in my collection. There's also now a hair in my eye, so I gotta fish that out and probably redo my eyeliner. But I'll see you in my next video, and until then I hope you have a great day. Thank you for watching. Bye.